So I wanted to talk about the word she. Even though it's just 3 letters, it can be quite difficult to understand. And there aren't a lot of definitions available for the word, so it can be hard to find out the real meaning of it. So in this video, I'm going to start out by giving really simple, clear explanation. And then afterwards, we'll look at more of the grammar formula of how it's used. So let's start off with the meaning. If you look on the screen, the word she could be summarized as ... and see. Well, what does that mean? So let's look at this sentence. It says, Mo nu she nu po tua. Mo nu she nu po tua. Go ask and see if he will come. So that's kind of the general basic meaning of she. It gives that sense of go look and see, like see the result. So here's another sentence example. Có mu shi shai she. Có mu shi shai she. You go test, look, and see. So, and see what? Well, let's talk a little bit more about the grammar behind it. Here is the formula for how she is used, if you want to understand the mechanics behind it, so to speak. So we have in our sentence an action, and then after that we have the word she, and then finally we have a question to be answered. Now that doesn't mean that a question is being asked per se, but essentially some sort of question scenario, whether it's actually in the form of a question or it's an implied question, that's going to come after the word she. So there's some sort of action, there's she, and then that action will somehow affect that question, usually answering it somehow. Generally with grammar, explaining it helps only after you see examples. So let's take that bit of information, action, she, and then a question, and now we can apply it to sentences. So let's look at this example. Có mu shi shai she. Có mu shi shai she. You go test, look, and see. Now in this case, it's an implied question. So we have go test, look. That's the action. Then we have she. Now if we had context for this sentence, perhaps someone was wondering whether a thing would work, or they were wondering whether food was rotten or something, and the response is Có mu shi shai she. You go test, see. You go test, look, and see. And then the implied question is, will it work? Is it rotten? Something along those lines. Now we have some bigger sentence examples, because it's easy to simplify a sentence in a class, but if you really want to see the mechanics in the field, so to speak, we'll look at an actual sentence example. So here's a person who's out in the field, something happened and he didn't really believe it, so he's going to go back to the house to test and see if it's really the truth, to see with his own eyes, so to speak. So the sentence is Nu sa tiền che đa sứ no. Nu sa do ka lo mu che lo shua pe che she yo li cha tiền no. Nu sa tiền che đa sứ no. Nu sa do ka lo mu che lo shua pe che she yo li cha tiền no. So I put the rough meaning below each word here. He thinks that it's perhaps a lie, so he returns back to the house. So then he returns. What's the action? Well, to visit, to inspect, to make a visit on. And then we have the location in between there, Beit Che, so we know where it is. That's where it goes in the sentence. But then we have she, and then finally we have Yolija. Yolija is the question. Now you see there's no question mark at the end of the sentence because the question is not being asked, but a question scenario is happening. So he wants to know how it really is. So we have our action, shua, to visit, we have she, and then Yolija tia. He's going to check and see how it really is, what is really the case. Okay, so let's look at the next example. Okay, so here we have another example on the screen. Si don jua sa sa je sa hai tia. A la cha she no te. Si don jua sa sa je sa hai tia. A la cha she no te. So the meaning of the sentence, we have this orphan boy. Si don jua is the name, even Xin Tou Zhuo is the name. No? He finds this person who's passed out on the road, and he wants to take a look and see what happens if I wake him up, if I bring him back to life, so to speak. So it says he thinks about it, and then he says, I'll just give it a shot, I'll raise him up. So we have jia is the action, to raise. We have shay is the and see. And then we have an implied question, see what happens. It's not said, but he is thinking, I'm going to do it to see what happens. So there's our implied question. So finally, we have one last example. Jê nương cầu đào đu tế mông xế là vô hại lý cha. Jê nương cầu đào đu tế mông xế là vô hại lý cha. Okay, so we have this person who finds a bunch of animals in the story. We have a person who finds a bunch of animals having a little convention together, talking together, and he sees it, so he's hiding in the edge of the field. And the action, it says he will listen and see and experience the result of what? Hai li jia, what they will say, how they will say. Really, that's an idiom for what will they say. Okay, so we have action, shay, and then their question scenario, which is what are they going to say? So he's going to listen for the result of that. So hopefully this explanation helped you understand how shay is used in a sentence, how you can use it yourself. One of the best things I found for myself is just to see lots of examples of it. Having this understanding will help kind of sound it down into the mind, and you'll be able to use it yourself. Alright, see you in the next video.